Based on their appearance, you may think coral reefs are just piles of colorful rocks, but they're actually marine animals that are incredibly important for ocean ecosystems. Each coral reef consists of multiple coral colonies made up of thousands of tiny polyps, much like how an anthill is run by thousands of ants. However, unlike ants, all coral polyps in a colony are genetically identical. Corals grow via something called budding, a process in which polyps grow copies, literal clones of themselves. To reproduce, however, corals rely on sexual fertilization, rather than budding. Mature corals often spawn, aka release eggs and sperm, in one synchronized event, which allows genetic material from different colonies to mix, fertilize, and form zygotes. As these zygotes are carried away by ocean currents, they begin to grow into their larval stage, called a planula. Eventually, these planulae settle upon a suitable place to grow, usually somewhere hard, like a rock, and begin to metamorphosize into a juvenile polyp. As the polyp grows and matures, it forms a limestone skeleton called a calyx, which acts essentially as a hard protective cup surrounding the polyp. When the corals are stressed, or just inactive, they can retract into these calyx, much like how a turtle hides in its shell, only really coming out at night to feed. So how do they feed then? They obviously don't have mouths like we do. Well, you may have noticed that they are equipped with these tentacles, upon which are many stinging cells called nematocytes. These cells are capable of delivering powerful and often lethal toxins to the polyp's prey, which consists mainly of zooplankton, allowing the polyp to more easily use its tentacles to sweep it into its mouth. As a needed supplement to their diet, many corals also have a mutualistic symbiotic relationship with a type of algae called zooxanthellae, which inhabit the tissue of the coral polyps, providing them with sugars produced with photosynthesis. In return, the coral gives the zooxanthellae protection and carbon dioxide. In fact, the zooxanthellae is what gives the coral their bright and vibrant colorations. You may have heard of the term coral bleaching, or maybe you've seen photos where instead of beautiful oranges and pinks, coral reefs are totally white instead. This phenomenon is a response to certain stressors, and it causes the coral to expel the zooxanthellae, leaving it a stark white. While it is possible for corals to recover from bleaching and take the zooxanthellae back in, if it goes for too long without this algae, it will die. So does it even matter? Corals dying out? The answer is a resounding yes. Corals play super important roles in reef ecosystems, as marine organisms rely on corals for shelter, food, and also act as a nursery for baby fish. Numerous scientific studies have shown that a quarter of all fish in the ocean rely on healthy coral reefs to survive. In fact, while reef ecosystems make up only 0.1% of Earth's surface, they support 5% of all known species on the planet and 35% of all known marine species. If coral reefs die, hundreds, if not thousands, of marine organisms will suffer. So where does that bring us now? Well, the truth is less than ideal. Due to climate change and ocean acidification, coral bleaching events are occurring much more frequently. Ocean acidification occurs when carbon dioxide from the atmosphere dissolves in ocean water. The CO2 binds with the water molecules to create carbonic acid, which reduces the pH of the water, making it acidic. This inhibits the coral's ability to build its skeleton, as limestone can dissolve in high concentrations of carbonic acid. Historically, coral bleaching wasn't as harmful because there was ample time between each event for the coral to be able to heal and recuperate, though this is no longer the case. A global bleaching event that lasted from 2014 to 2017 led to 75% of all reefs being overcome with heat stress, with 30% of the affected population dying. Current models on coral health project that all coral reefs will be dead by the year 2100. With 20% possibly becoming extinct by 2050. Already, 50% of all coral species have gone extinct in the past 3 decades. This all seems pretty bad, right? Well, recently, there has been a huge push to preserve and restore coral reefs around the world. Organizations such as the NOAA Reef Conservation Program, the Environmental Protection Agency, the U.S. Coral Reef Task Force, and the International Coral Reef Initiative are all working toward that common goal. These organizations are doing things like creating artificial reefs to support marine life and encouraging the return of corals. There is also a huge push to educate the general public about these issues and how it affects life on Earth. There are ways you can help as well. By conserving your water use, picking up your trash as well as any other trash you may find, and reducing stormwater runoff, you can contribute to helping coral reefs. Want another way to help coral reefs? Share this video! Spread the word about corals and their importance, and maybe we can save these beautiful animals before it's too late.